But the point that was really interesting, not that I've held a bag on a sales team, but I've worked with a lot of sales reps. And 10 years ago, people would have tripped over themselves for this level of accessibility and ease of use, right? But now you can't get reps to click the button, which is really interesting. I don't know how many sales leaders I've talked to. There's actually an interesting stat from Gartner that 77% of sales reps say that they're falling behind on their tasks. They just can't keep up with the work required. They can't get through all the clicking of the buttons. It's bottlenecking their ability to reach their buyers. And so now when we think about the real implications that has for people, we needed a new solution that actually blows past the human bottleneck and allows AI to start owning more of the work outright. So the product today of Regie, this is a long-winded way of painting a picture, is think about it almost as if it's an autonomous or a virtual SDR. When you think about all the repetition that plagues sales process, you have to find your ICP looking at data in your CRM. You then have to go out to some sort of third-party data provider and build a lead list. You then got to get your leads back into your system of record. You then have to think about, shoot, what do I say to a head of RevOps, which is probably different than a head of marketing, which is probably different to my third persona. I then have to create a sequence for them. I then have to put all the people in the sequence. And then I have to actually click the buttons now to send all the emails and make the calls and connect with them on social media. And so when you think about all these failure points and like what I like to think of as the outbound assembly line, it's no wonder that folks are finding it incredibly challenging and incredibly expensive to operationalize an outbound motion today. And so we automate that fully, and it gives capacity back to your talented human sales reps and SDRs to hit the phone on people that are highly engaged, or to spend the effort on social media to make in-mails and connections happen where they're going to see the highest reward and payoff on engagement. So we're now playing in the AI space when it comes to autonomous SDRs. It is amazing to see how quick this transformation's happened in terms of how quick the tech's evolved and the real life problems that we're solving for many enterprise sales organizations.
Is the autonomous SDR a fake LinkedIn profile, fake name person?
Oh.
Is it an impersonating? Sounds like a very bad word, but is it impersonating my real rep, or what is the experience for how that actually manifests maybe the people that I'm prospecting to?
That's a great question. There are solutions on the market that are fake by nature, right? It's here's my virtual SDR, Susie Q, right? And everybody knows Susie Q is not real, and maybe people care, maybe they don't, and maybe it all comes out in the wash. We instead are the workhorses that are doing all the work on behalf of a real life human that is on your team. And so think about it, Connor, if you're an SDR and you need to make 100 personalized emails a day, 1,000 phone calls a week, and connect with 50 people on social media, you can now tell your agent, you can give your agent these parameters. The agent will do all this work on Connor's behalf. And now you, Connor, as an SDR, wake up every day and you open your task list. And now you're only humanly calling into the accounts that have high levels of intent as warmed up by these agents. You're only going to LinkedIn and making these connections on high levels of intent that have been warmed up by the agents. And all the email that was happening from your domain, from your name. And that way, when you start to bubble up interest and intrigue, those replies go right to you. And now you, human Connor, can hop in and say, yeah, Tuesday at noon is great. Here's my Calendly. You can book time here. So we pull you into the loop when it matters most, and we keep you out of the loop when it doesn't matter. And it's actually a low expenditure of reward from your capacity standpoint.
Do you have customers, and I'm curious how intentional of a design decision this is, right? Are there customers like, I don't want you to be Nina Butler. I want you to just give me 1,000 SDRs. Like I want an infinite number and just replace all of it. And is that something that you're like, we don't do that because the technology isn't there. We don't do that because we think that doesn't make sense. Like where do you land on that scale?
That's another great question. And I often get asked, what are best practices? What are pitfalls? This is like flying cars. You give me the roadmap. And one of the questions I get asked is something along these lines. And our directive back is it's actually hurtful to overproduce for your organization if you can't keep up with the demand. So you give this instance, I want 1,000 of these virtual SDRs going hog wild on the weekend and working overnight, but it actually does you no good to burn through those lead lists and potentially overfish your pond if you don't have the SDRs or the reps that are able to make the phone calls and do the social work at the end of the day, which is why we help you with that sales math is what I call it. Like what's the minimum level of volume you actually need to put through this to make a noticeable difference? And then what's the maximum volume you don't want to exceed because you actually don't have the human capacity today to accommodate it.
Cool. So the end rep experience is I get plugged into Regie. The people that I talk to are folks that I have already been prospecting into with this account on LinkedIn, doing some of these different pieces. And now I'm reaching out to them being like, hey, I've been trying to reach whoever. Here's what we're doing. Here's what's going on. And I have those conversations at that point, but it is pre-warmed and served to me. It makes it sound like an airline meal. or something.
More delicious. I
More
promise.
delicious, higher end.
Not burnt. Never burnt.
Cool.
Never burnt.